Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Geekonomics. Another week. It's another show. Marc and Bryon are here. We're going to talk to you about all things going on in the world of nerd. Bryon has been painstakingly working on topics for today. I know he spent hours going through all of the things going on in the world for us to discuss all the happenings.
Well,
there's so much going on.
There's
strikes going on.
There's
nothing going on.
We're backlogged. We
Yes.
have reviews we got to do, which we couldn't do last week.
Yeah. Yes.
How's your internet?
It seems to be fine. I never had any issues the whole rest of the week and the whole rest of that day. I had no issues. I mean, I did after we got done restart my computer. So maybe that's the reason why it worked better, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
Fun time.
Technology, the wave of the future.
Well, we still have to talk about. We have a review for Oppenheimer, Barbie.
I got to see Barbie over the weekend with Claire, so we'll have that review.
For me, real quick, Marcus. I mean, it's we had our big show last Sunday. It was kind of nice, kind of relaxed. This past Sunday was amazing weather.
Yeah.
It's been amazing weather since. Man, I love it.
Yeah.
We started watching The Bear. We're 2 episodes in. It's a very good show. Well acted, well written. I like the restaurant stuff angle.
That's what Claire gets into, because she turns to me as we're watching different episodes and she's like, that's real. That's what really happens. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Then another, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's so realistic. I'm like, oh, all right, I get it. You worked in a restaurant. You've done restaurant things.
Yeah, but you do the same stuff when it comes to TV.
I know, that's what she said. It's so this is my Marvel thing I could nerd out about. And there's even, as this show goes on, one of the guys becomes a baker and it turns into a thing, and then she just geeked out incessantly about that. So
yeah, it's good so far.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. We have entered season 5 of Yellowstone.
How many seasons are there?
5.
Oh, okay.
The show isn't over. They stopped it in the middle of season 5 or near the end, and they're supposed to finish it up, but the writer's strike, I don't even know when that's coming out.
Didn't there something with Costner happen? And
there's a fallout between Costner and the showrunner.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Costner is going to come back and finish the show.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. All I got to say is the show peaked for us in season 3 until 4.
Yeah.
4 into 5. It kind of falls back into its.
It's dragged out. It's starting to get dragged out.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's a bad writing.
Well,
and
that happens.
Actually, in season 5, it's getting interesting because one of the characters we really hate is getting shit on finally. But it's the writing on the show,
as you will.
Yeah, isn't the best sometimes. At this point, we're just seeing it through.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. One of the best characters actually leaves in season 4. So once that character was gone, I was kind of like, oh man, now we, there's a couple good characters in it, but
it
has to be Kevin Costner, probably one of his best performances. But the show, I think, falters when it comes down to story arcs and writing, and some of the characters are just so you hate them immensely. There's no redeeming value sometimes, and sometimes you're just kind of like, oh my god, please someone take a gun and shoot this person. Anyway, that's Yellowstone. It's weird. Yellowstone is one of the top rated shows on television, but I don't hear anybody talking about it. And now I know why.
Well, my person I ever hear talking about is Matt Ryan. So he's the one that talks about it all the time.
I've never heard him talk about it.
Well, you don't hang out with him enough, I guess. If you tell him that you're watching it, he'll go into a whole dissertation about it. He loves that show.
Well, if I talk to him about it,
Yeah,
I'll be bitching about some
yeah,
things about it.
yeah.
But there's
Him and
some
my mom used to talk about, like, he would be like excited that my mom watched it and be like, oh, I'm like, okay, I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
there were some characters that are good and some storylines that I enjoy, but overall, it's a so-so show. It's just okay. It's entertaining. That's all I can say about
Yeah,
it. Um, yeah. Then Twisted Metal dropped all the episodes on
yes,
Friday. I
yes.
thought they were gonna do week to week. Maybe
No, they're it was that they decided that they were just gonna do it.
um
And it was
I
awesome.
I just watched episode 5 or no, 6. I watched episode 6. I'm watching
Yeah,
like one a day.
yeah,
I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, it you know, I'm I know I'm comparing apples to oranges. I
yeah,
get it,
yeah,
but after Secret Invasion, this is a fresh air.
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like
It's just
you watch
quirky, crazy.
it really reminiscent of Ash versus Evil Dead, that
Yes,
kind of genre.
yeah,
It's schlock, it's fun, it's funny, it's bright and colorful.
yeah.
You go
Comes from
from
the same guys that wrote Zombieland, Deadpool, all the Deadpool movies. It's that same team.
yeah.
So it's very
I
reminiscent of that. So if you're
I'm
into those
really
movies, you're gonna
enjoying it.
love this show because it's
I'm yeah.
and Anthony Mackie is just fantastic.
And what's her name from Brooklyn
Pereira,
Nine? Yeah,
she's amazing.
it's a great show. It's a good fun. Will
Yeah,
Arnett doing the voice of Sweet Tooth.
yeah. Samoa
Um,
Joe, a wrestler, plays the character of Sweet Tooth, and he does a really good job of like doing the body movements and stuff.
yeah.
But it was a game I was like into when I was a kid. I remember it like PlayStation. I want to say PlayStation 2, maybe it came
PlayStation
out.
One.
Was it PlayStation 1? I
Yes.
remember it was like one of those games where I just like dove into. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But the fact now that they're actually like expanding upon the universe and giving these characters stories and like the
Well,
whole
yeah.
like Officer Stone character with Thomas Hayden Church, which is amazing. He is great in it. And it's like crazy as you watch it. You like all these people pop up. You're like, oh my gosh, they got this person. Oh my gosh, they got this person. But
Yeah, there's a lot. I got to the episode where you see Calypso on the sign, and Calypso was a bad guy. And
yeah, he's the big
two,
bad, basically, yeah, of the game.
yeah.
Yeah,
But the game, I think the game is perfect for a show because there is no expectation.
yeah.
There is no story. I mean,
No, you're
they're
basically just taking it.
characters,
Yeah,
and you can do whatever you want with them.
yeah. It was just a bonsai video game, basically, that you just like drove around and destroyed other cars with. And that was it. There was the extent of the game. There was no like,
Yeah,
but
post-apocalyptic
they
world.
do kind of, yeah. As the season goes on, it gets, yeah. Once you get
But
done with it, we'll talk about it more. But
yeah, I should be done by next week.
yeah,
They're moving pretty quick.
yeah.
I am
That's the other
enjoying
thing too. They're like half an hour, so they like blow right by.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a fresh air, just nice fresh air after Secret Invasion.
Yeah,
It's just like a fun, stupid show. I'm yeah, I definitely am.
it was a good time. I
I
went in with low expectations, and they
I
were
had none. I had
blown
no
away.
expectation.
So yeah,
I was like, I'll give it a shot.
well,
And
because it's like on Peacock too, so you don't like think like it's gonna be
well, yeah, because
great.
we're watching Yellowstone on
Yeah,
Peacock, and I saw it on the banner.
yeah,
And it's so funny because we live in a world where Twisted Metal and Rotten Tomatoes is gotten a higher reception than Secret Invasion.
well, there's a reason.
Viewer
We'll
wise
talk about that. We'll talk about
and
that later on.
critical.
But yeah, we'll talk about the reasons why
That's
later on.
well.
Not surprising.
Other than that, Marcus, how was your week?
It was good. Like I said, I randomly saw the thing on Amazon Prime pop up about Secret Invasion, about Twisted Metal. Sorry, we were just talking about Secret Invasion, so that's why I mentioned it. But Twisted Metal, so I watched that. It was a quick, like half-hour shows, so you can blow through them pretty quickly. Blew through that. Watched the last half of season 3 of The Witcher. the last Henry Cavill episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about where they ended the season and how they're going to just replace him with this other person. Because there's no like reason to replace him, basically. You know what I mean? There's no story MacGuffin to like. They were kind of setting up something that could have worked as the MacGuffin to change him into a different, like a regeneration kind of situation.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And so basically it just, since you don't have Netflix, you're not going to see it. But like the end of the season just ends
Don't
with
ruin it. I'll watch it eventually.
Yeah, we just like ends the season just ends with him like walking off on a mission.
Oh, well, there you go. He's the Witcher.
And it's like, well, then
But they could
so next time we come back next season, it's just gonna be like Liam Hemsworth walking the same position, doing the same thing. Like, how do you do the flashbacks? Like, that's the thing with this show. It's like the time is not like in order. So it's like you're gonna flash back to things that have already happened. And that would have been like Henry Cavill's character. How do you like recast that? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how it works out. I'm not holding any hope for The Witcher being any good anymore, now that he's not Gerald. So we'll see. It was kind of sad to be like, oh, well, there goes a show that I was excited to see, and now it's not going to be any good anymore.
Yeah.
I'm holding out hope that Liam Hemsworth is going to be able to pull off the character.
If it even happens. I mean, who knows?
Well, they left it on a point where there's more story to be done. It's definitely, there's like, they left it on a cliffhanger kind of situation. So I don't know. And the season's already been like renewed. The season's already been greenlit. It's just when they ever end up doing it. I did watch season 2 of Good Omens. It's on Amazon Prime. Amazing. John Hamm, fantastic.
Yeah.
And we also got
season 1 still.
Oh my gosh, another show you have to watch. That show is so good. It's so well acted. David Tennant and Michael Sheen are fantastic together. Yeah, they're the perfect casting for those two. Yeah, it's really good. We did get the final trailer for Ahsoka, which I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I'm not gonna watch any more trailers for that show.
Right.
Just give me the show.
Yeah. Besides that, and I did see the trailer, which we'll talk about, the trailer for Loki season 2.
Yeah.
Which is now basically turned into the Loki, please save the MCU TV universe for us, please. So
yeah.
See how that goes.
I do want to say one thing. Obviously yesterday, Paul Reubens passed away.
Yes, unfortunately.
One of my childhood, like I loved Pee Wee Herman as a kid.
Yeah.
Obsessed with the TV show as a child. Big Top Pee Wee, Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Favorite movies I must have watched a million times.
Still can't watch that movie. I saw it once in my whole life.
Why? Because Large Marge
messed me up as a kid. We'll never see it again.
So good.
Somebody even posted a GIF of Large Marge on the reveal part, and I was like, nope.
It's claymation.
It messed me up. I was like probably, I think 7, 8, 9 years old, maybe around there when I saw that. Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah,
not a fan.
It's good stuff. Pee Wee Herman was awesome. I remember I watched. I feel like it was like almost 10 years ago when he released the new Pee Wee movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
I remember that was the last one I saw, and then he went back on tour, I think, and there was a resurgence of Pee Wee's Playhouse because of that. Because everybody grew up with it. But yeah, it's sad to hear cancer, age 70. It's just crazy when you get to this point in your life with people you watch growing up start passing away. And then but yeah, that was a big shock. And it's weird. It's like he was 70.
Yeah, no,
Oh my
exactly. That's
God.
what I said when I saw it. I was like, how did Pee Wee Herman become 70?
But he was like in his probably late 20s and 30s when Pee Wee's Playhouse was on TV.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just weird. Time just feels weird.
It goes and does not stop.
Yes, nonstop.
Yeah.
But yes, I did watch the Loki season 2 trailer this morning. I made sure I watched it, Mark.
Yes.
Look good. My expectations, I'm going to have none. I don't know. MCU shows, Star Wars shows have
I think this is that
me out a little bit. So
yeah.
I have no expectations for Ahsoka. I have no expectations for season 2 of Loki. I want to go in and be surprised. I want them to build my expectations. I want to take it in and hopefully it's good, because if it sucks, or these shows always start off well and then it either slowly goes down, or hey, it could peak. I don't know. WandaVision went up, Falcon and Winter Soldier went up. I would say
crazy
Loki
because I've
season 1 went up
from multiple things about the Secret Invasion situation that Captain America, Falcon Winter Soldier wasn't as popular as we thought it was. Like, we liked it, but I don't think a lot of people did, which is kind of
no. I mean, I think WandaVision and Loki season 1 are the top 2. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
And this is how I see the MCU shows. Generally, not all shows made equally, and not all shows perfect. But I think people can get on board and say those 2 are the best. The other ones are kind of in the middle. It's either you really hated She-Hulk or you liked it. You either hated Moon Knight or you liked it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But I would say, for the first time ever, Secret Invasion, the ending was hated across the board.
The whole thing was just
I'm on the Marvel Reddit board.
Yeah.
And there were people saying, and I read this repeatedly, I normally will defend the hell out of so-and-so show, but I cannot defend this. People across the board were pretty much, what the hell was that?
I mean,
and
the thing
I agree.
Yeah,
I
don't understand. It was like one of those things where it was like they started off good, decent idea.
First 2 episodes were good.
Yeah, and they had a great thing going, and then he just fell into the same tropes, and
let's have
two
characters with the exact same powers fight each other.
Yeah. Also, see who's going to be the one that survives it.
Let's give them the DNA. Let's give Gaia the DNA of some of the most powerful MCU characters. Okay, so now she's a god. She literally can wreck a house.
Yeah.
And also, let's make Rhodes. Let's just take away everything and say he had the hospital gown on when they took him out. So everyone's trying to figure out when Rhodes was a Skrull. But also during Endgame, he has wounds on him. Now, if you're a Skrull and you get wounded, you turn back and your blood is not red. So none of it makes sense, and people are pissed because they're not giving us answers.
Well, the place that I
think the Rhodes thing is stupid. I honestly do not.
I think it's shits. It could have been better. It could have been better, and I think it's just the way they did it.
My headcanon, he was never a Skrull up until just now. I don't want to believe a Skrull version of Rhodes said goodbye to Tony Stark during Endgame.
No.
So bad.
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't think it was then. I think it was after that.
People are saying because of the gown, that was the gown he was wearing during Captain America. What was that? Civil War? When he gets shot down and he loses his legs, he has to go to rehab.
He breaks his legs.
Yeah, he has to go to rehab and he has a gown on. People are kind of like trying to connect the dots.
I think they're trying too hard. I think that's too much.
Well,
And then, like, what do you do? Like, what do you do with that character now? So that character now doesn't know the ending of Endgame
Well, no, that
or anything that's happened since Endgame. So now that person has to be like, that character has to be brought up to speed, basically.
Well,
He's told that his best friend's dead.
yeah, I mean, Armored
So
Wars. How do we, what's going to happen with Armored
does that
Wars?
even exist? Does that even happen? I think, I don't know. I think this is a bigger topic that could be its own show. Us talking about this. And I think next week, that's what we do, is we break this down and basically come up with our ideas on how to save the MCU from where it's heading. Because I'm not sure if it's going to survive.
Oh, it's going to survive.
I mean, it's going to survive, as in they're just going to produce things and put them out.
No,
We're saying, will they be good?
The thing is, I think with the writer's strike,
I have
and the actor strike,
hot take on what I think should happen. But I don't know if I want to put it out now or if I want to wait till next week.
We'll just wait till next week.
Yeah.
But I personally believe with Bob Iger saying we need to start reining it back in.
Yeah.
And this writer's strike could, and
the actor strike.
The writer's strike mainly because these Secret Invasion was a shit show. Well, so they need to
I think this is
better.
Part of it. I think we talked about it with our friend from California who we had on to talk about the writer's strike, Danielle. I think part and parcel of it is what she was saying, is that these streaming services are not having full-blown writers' rooms. And there's no one like help there's no like give and take in a thought process of how to write these shows. It's they hire 2 or 3 people to write a show, and those 2 or 3 people just come up with whatever, and there's no one to be like, I don't think that makes sense. There's no like balance. There's no, give and take on anything. It's either there's 1 or 2 people write it, or it's like one person writes the whole thing. And if you don't have the people in the writing room that have the knowledge or the connection to the story, you're not going to get a decent story out of it. There was a good show in Secret Invasion.
We didn't get it.
There was a good show in that shell of what ended up happening. There was a good storyline that was started and then just abandoned. Like there could have been a way better show out of that show. Like I was excited after the first episode. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so good. And then it just shat the bed.
The show ended the way it started. Everything was meaningless.
Yeah.
Other than now Gaia, who I would be surprised if we ever see again, because for some strange reason we don't see half these characters ever again.
Besides the fact that like you literally hired Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman, 2 of probably the better actors that we've had recently. Unfortunately, Emilia Clarke's been now hung on 2 bad show endings.
It's not her fault.
I know, but people don't see the writers. They see the actors. So unfortunately, she's going to get looped into being a part of a bad ending to Game of Thrones and a bad Secret Invasion show. And also, not for nothing, she was also in the Solo Story, which also probably wasn't the best movie that was ever put out, and people weren't happy about that either. So she's on her 3rd strike at this point with movies and shows.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to see.
I'm not the best person to have in your show.
I would like to see Star Wars shows and Marvel shows stop recycling the same actors. You notice they're constantly in the same. I'm like, okay, I want to see new people because I'm getting confused. I'm becoming senile, and I'm like, why was this person in this show? Now they're in this show, and they're playing the same character, kind of. Just give me new people.
Well, it's just that they're not having nothing either. The whole
like they're just pulling from the same
thing of
bucket
having
of people.
Emilia Clarke's character be the Super Skrull, technically, out of the show.
They were all Super Skrulls, though.
No,
I mean,
what's his name? Out of the show,
Super Skrull.
Out of the show, she becomes Super Skrull, basically, in the comic books. She's going to be that character. And she is, I mean, it's pretty obvious. She's a very small, petite girl. I just don't see that for the Super Skrull character. It's very
That doesn't bother
awkward
me.
and weird, but no, just like the scenes with her changing into these different superheroes.
It doesn't. That doesn't
was just
bother
very
me
hokey.
about if
It was very
if,
hokey.
if she's a petite person or not.
No, but I'm just saying it. It's just
I
of
think
all
it
the characters
was.
it could have been, putting it on her character.
I think it was just done horribly.
Yeah.
Because it getting the DNA from all these characters, all of a sudden she had like the CG was wonky because she got like Drax's arm with the tattoos, like all these weird things that made no sense to me. Also, the fact that these people that been underneath a place with high radiation for years, so they all have radiation poisoning or have cancer.
Well, no, the fancy machines block that. That was part of the thing.
I don't know about that.
That was mentioned like in a really quick thing earlier in the season.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. But yet again, if you go back to She-Hulk, where she meets the Kevin machine, and they make fun of the fact that, oh, someone will just steal the DNA or blood, make the bad guy, and they'll fight. And literally, Secret Invasion comes out and they do the same thing they were making fun of in the meta commentary they were making in She-Hulk.
Yes.
And I'm just kind of like, really, guys? Really?
You
made fun of this in She-Hulk, but you're just doing it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought the fight scene kind of looked bad. That last fight scene, it was hokey. I felt like I just didn't care.
I feel like this show also was like the very last of the old, like I'm gonna say like the old regime of Disney.
Not really. This is new. It was made for
what
the
I'm saying, but like it was,
Marc.
but I don't think like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's, like I said, I have a big idea that I don't know if it'll probably not happen, but I'll bring it up next week. But it's just fine. It's just kind of
there's
crazy.
gonna be, the fact of the matter is, right now, the MCU is going through some growing pains because you had COVID, then there were like a streaming service coming out, and then they were like, we're just gonna shit out things because
I think it was also, there's a multitude of factors. Again, another thing I was gonna bring up next week too. But it's like you had the way it was mapped out, you had a plan of what you were gonna do. And I think, like you said, with COVID, you had Endgame where you lose a bunch of major characters, and you're having to now, at that time frame, replace those major characters with new characters who aren't the big name heroes. So it's like you're now like trying to put together a B squad Avengers team.
Yeah, but
without the big characters, like without your not just the actors, but the character Captain America, the character Iron Man, the character, like those two are two of the biggest members of the Avengers, and you kind of now trying to do the MCU without your biggest comic book characters involved.
You know what though? I don't.
It's kind of like they're trying to put together this weird, like, hey, do you guys like Moon Knight? No? Okay. Do you guys like the Turtles? No. Okay. How about, hey, who else do we have in the roster? Let's throw them out there and see if someone likes them. And if they do, we'll keep it. If not, we'll just scrap it.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying, and it feels that way. I think they lost sight of what made the original run, the first couple phases, so special, is because Shang-Chi, for instance, right? This is what bothers me. Shang-Chi comes out critically, and the audience loves the character, loves the movie. It was a great fun time. He disappears. Now, why didn't we get a Shang-Chi 2? Or why
didn't he show up in like the Doctor Strange movie? Or show up in any of the other movies?
They stretched themselves too thin. When the first couple phases, 1 through 3 or 4, I don't know whatever, you had a handful of characters that would make slight cameos and had sequels, and they built. Iron Man was never a fan favorite. Iron Man became a fan favorite because of Robert Downey Jr. because of the movies.
Yeah.
The Guardians of the Galaxy, they were unknown as well, became popular. They had ample opportunity to make Shang-Chi a household name by creating a sequel, having him more. Same with, even though Eternals flopped.
Is there also the thing of there's just not enough actors? Like
there's plenty of actors. I mean, we had
that are willing to be in these movies now.
Well, there's every actor under the sun.
But they've churned through a good portion of like big name actors.
Listen, there's always going to be actors, but what I'm trying to say is, my thing is, it's the characters. They could have really built something, but they're like, we're going to do Secret Invasion, we're going to do multiverse, we're going to do all these things at once. But you know what? You get burnt out. I think single focus would have been nice.
Yeah.
If the scroll thing was something that was kind of happening in the background and build, and we had an Avengers movie with Secret Invasion,
and that would have been awesome. It was like kind of in the background.
It was for 2 movies. They never really
and
then they dropped it.
Like gave it
Spider-Man 2.
Because actually, but then again, this is also, I know we've had this multiple things, but Secret Invasion is just one of those things where I think it just
should have been a movie.
Should have been a movie.
Should have been a movie.
They decided not to. It was originally going to be a movie, and then they decided to make it into a show. I think if this was just a 2.5-hour movie and not a 6-hour TV show, it would have been fine. Would have been great.
It could have involved like some people, some big characters.
Could have brought in like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you threw enough money at him, you could have brought like a couple of these big name guys in to play. Play like the characters, and
if they
could have had like Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan and the guys you have on the roster now, like involved.
Yeah.
Like a Drax or someone like that. Like some of those ancillary characters. Throw an actual Groot in the thing.
The thing is, the scrolls started in Captain Marvel. Then it slightly continued at the end of Spider-Man 2. So then they could have teased it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And instead of getting the Internals movie that was very boring, we could have had the Secret Invasion mini Age of Ultron. We didn't get like a middle Avengers movie. Like that would have been cool to have like get the new roster in there, get the Shang-Chi, get the new characters in there. All the scrolls are a threat. Nick Fury rounds everybody up, says, listen, there's something going on here. I mean, come on.
I think the thing of him, like the thing with him being the beaten down character, and I think they've gotten way too into the blip and how it affected people, and making it into too big of a thing at this point that it's like it's lost its, I don't say resonance, but lost its like importance to storylines.
Oh yeah, I'm not invested.
Everyone disappeared for 5 years. You don't need to keep going back to it as a way to explain away this, that, and the other thing.
Well, yeah, but also right now, I am not really invested in the Kang's thing at all. I mean, yes, I'm going to watch Loki season 2. I think I'm invested in Loki, but I'm not invested in Kang whatsoever.
Because you haven't had a reason to.
I don't care. I don't care.
One version of him got beat up by probably the least powerful Avenger in Ant-Man. Like,
well, one of the Kangs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he's already been like blue-balled there a tiny bit. He looked a little bit better in Loki.
Well, this is a different Kang.
Yeah. So it's like
I just don't. The only
it's
Marvel
like they're taking
movie,
too long to give you what they need to.
Right. The only Marvel movie I personally am excited for is Deadpool 3. Yeah. That's it. Right now, that is a movie I am hyped for to see Wolverine and Deadpool. That's it.
Yeah.
I will of course see them, but I'm not really invested in any of the major storylines happening. I couldn't even tell you what the storylines are. So
I can't even tell you what movies are happening because all of them are getting moved now.
Well, of course. I mean, I think this writer's strike and actor strike is going to go until October.
Deadpool went from coming out in March, so now it's coming out in May.
It was October to May.
Oh, that's right, October to May. So
So it got moved up, but it's going to get moved.
Yeah.
It's going to get moved again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, and this is a prediction, once the strike is over and these companies start pushing up production, I wouldn't be surprised if the FX people go on strike, because there's been so many articles about how much
well, it
they've
depends
been
upon
abused.
like if they
They can unionize. They've been shit on a lot.
yeah, but I think they already
They
are
could go.
in a union.
They
But it
can
depends
get.
upon when their contract comes up.
They could go on strike too. I could see it because they're underpaid, overworked, and I mean, you can Google it. There's been tons of articles. A lot of these people come out and really shit on Disney because they're
Yeah.
constantly they'll have the movie and they're constantly changing things last minute, and the people aren't taking into consideration them. They just want things to be done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting if that because I feel like it's getting compressed. Once these strikes are over, there's going to be like a laundry list of things that need to get done, and I think the FX for a lot of these movies and shows, they're either going to get rushed out the door and not be so good, or there's going to be a backlash. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like there's already been pushback in the last couple of years with these articles and people coming out talking about it. So I don't know where that's going to lead. I hope it doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But anyway.
Well, here you go. So things, as we were talking about, that just talked about the whole strike situation. They're already starting to release things that are being affected by the strike. Avatar 3, all the avatars have been pushed back. Avatar 3 pushed back to 2025. Avatar 4 pushed back to 2029. Avatar 5 now 2031.
I'll be dead by then. No.
Buckle in. Secret Wars, which is going to be the sequel to Kang Dynasty, is now 2027. Kang Dynasty is now 2026.
See, it's hard to get excited about any of this because it's happening so far in the future. I don't really care.
Batman Part 2 filming has been postponed until 2024.
Yeah.
Pre-production on the Blade movie has been paused, and planned filming started in June of this year. Production will resume upon the conclusion of the strike. Captain America Brave New World has been pushed to July of 2024. Community the movie, which I was excited for, has been on hold with filming and production. Fantastic Four has now been moved to 2025. Things that are like were supposedly coming out pretty quickly have been pushed back. Even Kraven the Hunter got pushed back to August 2024. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, Sony took it off its date in March and has not announced when it's going to happen now. They're saying delayed indefinitely, so who knows. Strays, which is supposed to come out pretty soon, had its release postponed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was looking forward to Strays.
Yeah, I just started seeing trailers for it, and now they're saying we don't know when we're putting it out.
You know why? Because they can't promote it. They can't promote it with anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, because it's not a movie where you see the people's faces, so there's no way to. Same thing with Spider-Man. I think there's no way to promote it. Superman Legacy has been suspended because of writing he's not writing during the strike. Thunderbolts pre-production ahead of planned started filming again, was supposed to happen in June, has been put on hold until the conclusion of the strike. Transformers 1, which is a Paramount movie, the new version of Transformers after the last one, premiered delayed till September of 2024. Ghostbusters Afterlife was postponed to March, which is taking the Deadpool date in March. The No Way Home sequel development writing has been halted completely Untitled Star Wars film premiere pushed to May of 2026. Another one, which is supposed to come out, is now in December of 2026.
Yeah.
And that's just the movies. TV shows, there's a whole bunch of other shows that were supposed to come out that have all been moved, pushed, delayed. So,
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna come to a very quiet time of year soon where there's gonna be no new content.
There's plenty of it out there though.
But I
so.
mean, a lot of
More than you can
reality
consume.
shows, game shows.
Yeah, but there's more. There's so much stuff out there as it is.
Yeah.
I want them to get what they deserve. So I don't care.
No, exactly.
Stay on strike as long as you want.
And there's still, like we talked about when we started talking about the strike, there are stuff still being done. It's very, very small budget stuff. Like our friend Megan has a movie coming out at the end of August. That's a very small budget movie that she's been working on. That she's going to be coming on sometime this month to talk about when she's got some time. So that's the stuff you're gonna find stuff that you like we did during the last strike of things. You're gonna find content that you wouldn't usually have seen because it was pushed down or covered up by bigger productions. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
before we get all to all that, we have reviews. Do you want to dive into the whole Secret Invasion review now?
Well, I mean, we already kind of talked about it. I mean,
well, we got to grade it and everything and do
yeah. I mean,
part.
I'll give you. I'll go first. I'll give you my whole thing.
Okay.
My score. Then you go.
Okay.
For me, Secret Invasion.
Well, just do your whole thing, and then we'll save the scores till the end after we both given her.
All right, whole thing. Secret Invasion. I think it started off strong. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. In the middle, got a little wonky, but I was like, you know what? I'm still on board.
Yeah.
The final episode it didn't land well for me. It gave me way more questions than answers. Also, I did not feel satisfied. Also, I felt like I was watching the Fast and the Furious franchise at this point. They're just like, it was like a 5-year-old and said, let's push everybody in one little thing and it don't have DNA. And I'm like, this is like stupid. It was, to me, it was dumb. I was not on board with it. I have questions about the roads thing. I have questions about why are we giving Gaia, this character, all these powers? Are we ever going to see her again? Because we haven't seen half these characters that have been introduced in previous things. We've never seen them again. So why did we do this? Why did we end it like this? And then, it ended the way it started. Nick Fury came down, he did his thing, and then he goes back up with his wife.
Into space.
And then
to now be in the Marvels movie.
And nothing really mattered because the scrolls are at the very end. The scrolls are exposed, but then there's a throwaway line because it's all rushed. The final episode's rushed.
Yeah.
A throwaway line. Oh, there's going to be like a peace treaty talk. So scrolls are exposed. There's a militia out there killing scrolls, and people thinking they're scrolls. Then you have Gaia, who is now out there that has all these powers of massive Thanos and like really powerful beings.
Yeah.
And it's not interesting because there should be a trade-off.
And she actually knew how to use all of it instantly. And so did the other guy. Which made no sense. Had been doing it a couple times.
So a little bit, but still, she just instantly knew how to use these powers. Also, I would have been more interesting if there was a trade-off. Like she got these DNAs, but some of them did not match. And maybe she's slowly dying or something were to happen. But no.
That's the next story.
Yeah. But you know what? It did not like satisfy a lot of people. Secret Invasion,
Bigger score.
I'm saving it. That's my review.
Okay.
I have nothing more to say.
All right. For me, like you said, I agree with a lot of things you said. The beginning of the show showed a lot of promise. I was really into the whole espionageal story part that they were trying to do, with it being like who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull kind of thing. Then they kind of just fell into here's who's a Skrull. We'll just tell you instead of you trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We're just going to show you. And it's like, I felt like they wrote the story and then somebody somewhere, be it in Disney or whoever, read it or saw it and was like, we need to dumb this down for people because they're not going to be able to figure this out. And they just shat the bed with it and just like, here's who everyone's a Skrull. Here's their, like, they went to all the things. Here's the villain telling you their plan and giving you the whole what they're going to do to the person that's going to be the person that's going to defeat them or is going to recruit somebody that's going to defeat them. Why was Olivia Colman's character? What, besides just establishing that she's a character now in the MCU, there was no point to her character.
We'll never see her again. We'll never see her again.
Yeah.
I bet money we'll never see her
it's
again.
like she's like another, it seemed like the better person for that spot in this show would have been Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Why not have Valentina's character be that character where Nick Fury goes, you've already established her character as a pivotal person in the MCU. Why are you now basically giving us an English version of that same character? If you would just use Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character in this show and not had Olivia Colman in it at all, it would have made more sense. You could have established that she's trying to recruit Gaia to become a member of the Thunderbolts, to then have her be in that storyline. At least there'd be a connection to further on in the story down the line. You know, at least there'd be something. It seems like there was just, this show was not connected to anything bigger than just the people that are in S.H.I.E.L.D., that were in S.H.I.E.L.D. Maria Hill, Martin Freeman's character, and Nick Fury. There was no connection to the bigger MCU whatsoever, which made no sense. Besides the fact that the DNA was stolen from all these people after Endgame by Skrulls.
Which would and some of the
like,
DNA, those characters were not even part of Endgame, which still blows my mind.
Yeah.
Ghost wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a handful of others.
Yeah. It was just very,
I don't know.
It was like they didn't, like the people who wrote it had not seen any of the movies or any of the shows beforehand. And that, I think, is a big issue with a lot of the MCU stuff, is that there's no longer a thought to what's going on next. Like, how is this going to affect future? How can we use past to affect this event?
This is what happens. Another event. This is what happens if you. There's a great interview with Olsen, and she talks about like when she was in Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
And they were repeating what she already went through in the show, and she said to them, "Didn't you guys watch the show or read the script?" And they go, "We didn't have time."
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, if they're going to do shows and movies, they need to know what's going on in the other things.
Yeah.
But right now, there's a few that seem to work, but for the most part, production's so quick. They want these things out the door. They're not matching up, or they're not on the same. They're not in the same level.
Yes. Well, this goes to my topic, my big thing for next week, of what I'm going to talk about and why.
I would be fine if they got rid of the shows completely. Personally,
well,
I would have no problem with
but
that.
There's other bigger thoughts I have. Because I've really thought on this after Secret Invasion, because Secret Invasion really bothered me. Because I was really looking forward to this show. By the way they're promoting it and the way it was being presented as what it was going to be, I was like, man, this is this is Winter Soldier as a TV show. We're going to get a very well done spy drama. Then they just kind of just poo-pooed it and just pooped it out, and all of a sudden Nick Fury's married to a Skrull, and Mads Mikkelsen's character is killed for no reason, to give no effect to anything. Gaia barely even like is affected by her dad's death after she's already lost her mother, and in the final battle she all of a sudden cares about her mom and her dad and is fighting the bad guy and yelling at him like, you killed my parents. It's like, well, you didn't seem to care about it last episode. Why all of a sudden now is it such a big deal?
Because they were fighting.
And like and Nick Fury didn't even realistically or technically matter at all to the story.
No,
Like,
he's
you
in the
could take Nick
background.
Fury out of this story completely, and it would have not done anything. All Nick Fury's character did in the finalization of this story is be the person that she mimicked to get into New Skrullos to fight the bad guy.
What he was in the hospital trying
but
with the
just
president.
staying there with the president, and then the president just basically turns into an a-hole and like starts putting like wants to make rules to get rid of Skrulls. So it's like everything Nick Fury's character worked on and the whole point of what the story was gets totally destroyed. Yeah. So he's just now, not only did you not find the Skrulls a home on the planet, you've now turned them into terrorists and the worst thing on the planet.
Yeah, but there's going to be peace talks.
All you're going to do, and your big thought process in this is, I'm going to leave and go back up to space again.
And have peace talks.
And have peace talks with the Kree.
You know what?
What does that do for the Skrulls? There's still a million Skrulls stuck on the planet Earth, and you're piecing out to the space. So coming out of that show, my first thought is Nick Fury's a jerk. He's the worst character in the MCU.
He should not have come down because nothing changed.
No, he made everything worse.
He made, yeah.
So that made no sense to me. So that's what my whole like big thing in the show is. It's like you started out with it being a Nick Fury show, which was fine. That'd have been cool. You're gonna make it a very spy type show. Cool, I'm into it. And then you basically just said Nick Fury's gonna come down and every step of the way make every part of this worse. And then Emilia Clarke's character is going to be the person that's going to solve everything. And then just end up being a god among all the MCU.
Yeah. What's your
unbeatable force?
What's your score, Marcus?
All right. This might be a record. You might want to get your pen ready.
Do you want me to say my score first? Is yours going to be really...
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. For me, it's weird. It's like, you know, I've been hovering between a 5 and a 6. I don't know where I want to land on it. I would say, you know, probably a 5. It's like it's forgettable. Other than us talking about it, I will forget about this show by the end of the week.
Yeah.
The reason I had to remember a lot of it because we were going to talk about it, but it's not memorable.
No.
I had some moments. I like the dialogue-driven scenes between Nick Fury and Rhodes. I just think it was a dumbed down version. They didn't think the audience was smart, and they really effed up the ending. I am gonna stick with a 5. A 5 for me.
All right. Well, I'm going lower. I never thought I would say this. I would rather watch Eternals again than watch this show ever again.
Oh my God, that's pretty bad.
I'm giving this show no redeeming quality, no redeeming value, no need to ever mention this show ever again. Put it on a shelf, lock the vault, never open the vault again. Put it right next to the Ark of the Covenant. I'm giving it a 3.
Wow, that's a Willow numbers.
Yeah.
That's what I gave Willow.
Yeah. Not worthy of the time it took out of my life.
Yeah, it's very forgettable.
It was painful. And I've been the biggest, probably between the two of us, I've been the biggest Marvel supporter, apologist, reasoning why things don't work. But it's come to the point now where it's like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing?
Well,
I mean, it's not just Marvel. It's not even like, the thing is, this is stuff that we're seeing now is stuff that we would equate to back in the day, DC movies. It's like we're at that point. It's like, what's going on here? Is no one talking to each other? Does no one have any communication? We're just making stuff just to make stuff now. We're at that point.
that's what Disney Plus is all about.
Critical mass at this point.
All right. Let's move on to better, in my opinion,
Yes.
better things.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer and Barbie came out the same weekend.
Yes,
We saw Oppenheimer together.
we did.
With the guys.
Opening night. Yeah.
Still haunts me to this day. A movie I think about. It's
Yeah.
a movie I do want to see it again. Allison wants to see it, but I'm like, you know what? Watching it at home would be nice because I can have the subtitles on.
Yeah.
That's actually my only qualm with the movie is with Christopher Nolan in the last couple of films, his mixing of dialogue and music. And music
Yeah.
is used as a building up suspense in this movie. Sometimes it's hard to hear what they're saying. So I think watching the subtitles on it would be really nice. That's actually my only problem is sometimes the music got a little too loud. I couldn't hear
Yeah.
dialogue. But beyond that, I loved everything about it.
Yes.
It's a very haunting, scary, depressing story about a very sad, depressing, and scary thing that happened in our history. I think it was
Also very interesting.
masterfully directed, shot. It really builds the tension. I liked the way he jumped around and told the story. I liked how the score was used to build that tension, and then it would just it would stop. You had some really chilling moments. Yeah, man, the movie. What hasn't been said, I feel like I'm just gonna repeat it. But for me, it was one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah. It was very well acted and written. Everyone they picked for the different parts was fantastic. I kind of knew the story, like we all knew the story a little bit about the making of the bomb and everything. But
I knew nothing about Oppenheimer. So
no, I mean I knew I knew the name, but I didn't know like his story or anything like that. But just like since seeing the movie, diving into more of his story and like documentaries about the making of the bomb and everything and all that and all the political like intrigue behind it and everything. And just Robert Downey Jr. being amazing and Cillian Murphy being fantastic and just every person in it like was great. Matt Damon even fantastic.
Oh, Matt Damon was great. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just one of those movies where it's like you go in and literally I told Claire the first thing I said to her the next day when she like, how was it? Because she had been, her big thing was, whew, that's 3 hours. That's a 3 hour movie. I'm like, I'll tell you right now, it felt like an hour and a half. It felt like we were hardly in the movie. It blew by.
Oh yeah.
Such a good movie that it just flies. You don't even feel like it was 3 hours.
It moves. It's a quick moving. It moves very quickly.
Yeah. And it has a lot of like a lot of dialogue in it as well, which is even crazier to think that it's went so quickly.
It's a weird thing to say, Mark.
Well, I was trying to think of the
have
word.
a lot of dialogue.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but a lot of
Xylophone.
a lot of explanation on things, and it still was able to make the explanation of the story and things go quickly. Where some movies will have a lot of, I'm trying to think of the word, but I can't think of the word I want to use. But a lot of like exposition is what I'm thinking of. A lot of exposition on things, and those exposition parts kind of drag, and you kind of like lose the momentum.
Well, this movie, you're getting all the information as the characters are learning about information, and
Yeah, exactly.
it's a story. It's you're seeing not you're seeing it all unfold in his life. I think it's definitely a movie worth watching again because I think there's a lot of things you don't catch the first time. There's one thing I did notice, and then someone brought it to my attention, is that when his girlfriend, played by what's her name?
Florence Pugh.
Yeah. When she commits suicide, you see a hand on the back of her head.
Yeah.
And Mike told me, he said, did you notice that hand? I go, I did, but they never brought it up.
No.
So in real life, there is a conspiracy that she didn't commit suicide. She was murdered.
Yeah.
And they don't know what truly happened. And that would explain why they made it look like a suicide.
Yeah.
You saw that hand because it was to give the audience like, okay, there was something more to this. She didn't just kill herself. She could have been killed.
Yeah.
And obviously, because Oppenheimer was being followed and there was a conspiracy against him and others, that potential could have been true. But things like that I really like. Doesn't spell it out for you. You got to think
it's
about it.
It's very Christopher Nolan too, to have like little things in there to kind of, Yeah,
I mean, fantastic movie. For me, I mean, I give it a solid 10. What's one of my top favorite movies of the year.
Yeah.
And I haven't given like
we
on
haven't
our
given it 10
list
in a long time.
In our list here, I got a 9.5 Guardians.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man a 9. But I think the other 10 movies I saw this year was Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was a 10.
Technically last year,
but I saw it. It was the first movie I saw this year.
Yeah.
So to me, those two movies are my top 10 movies.
Well, it makes sense because it's probably going to be, when and if they have Oscars, probably one of the big Oscar movies of the year.
Yeah. Well, the Emmys have been suspended.
Yeah.
The Emmys are not happening in September.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. But anyway, Marcus, anything else? And what is your score for Oppenheimer?
I mean, I'm going to be right there with you. I'll give it a 10.
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. And Christopher Nolan is an amazing director. The fact that I think I heard this story, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I heard the story that the only reason he even found out about Oppenheimer was that Robert Pattinson had given him a book about Oppenheimer while they were
Rocky told us that.
Yeah, while they were filming Tenet. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but if it is, that's amazing. That's just how he got into making the movie, and just a random
you gave him his biography.
Yeah, just a random thing. And Robert Pattinson was like, this is a pretty interesting story, would make a good movie kind of thing, and then just gave him the biography, and just that's what spawned him wanting to make the movie. Yeah,
it's funny. Tenet came out during COVID, and anytime a Christopher Nolan film, just like Quentin Tarantino, it's like I got to go in the theater.
Yeah.
And Tenet was the first movie I waited for home release. Me and Allison watched it on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It's probably my least favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but I still enjoyed it.
It was a great story. It just was really weirdly.
I loved the way it was filmed. I loved it. Half of it was going backwards, half of it was going forward. My brain broke at the end.
I think that's one of those movies where I wasn't smart enough. It's I'll be honest to say, I don't think I was smart enough for Tenet. I don't think I figured it out.
Well, the only thing I didn't like is that it was very hard to hear what they were saying. Thank God for subtitles. But the only thing I didn't like is it really was the characters weren't fleshed out. It was more about the spectacle.
Yeah.
He really wanted to do this. He loves time stuff. He
Yeah.
really wanted to do this movie, and he did it.
Yeah.
Thank God it's out of his system. But like
I like Inception. I was like, I just didn't get it.
what Inception was awesome.
Yeah,
That
I'm saying
movie
I
was
think this a
amazing.
lot of the whole story part of it was just very what's going
Oh,
on.
I loved it. I think
Yeah, I did too, but it was just I think it was just that level of Christopher Nolan storytelling. I'm just
um
smart
In-
enough for it, which is fine.
Interstellar, yet another amazing Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But
All the
anyway, yeah,
Batman's fantastic.
yeah, I love all the Batmans he's
Yeah.
done. But yeah, Oppenheimer is definitely one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah.
I concur. And
Speaking of
that's
movies that came out in the same time frame,
yes,
I finally got to see Barbie over the
yes, and I saw Barbie the following day.
of Oppenheimer. You were a part of Barbenheimer weekend.
I was, and this. I'll make a bridge version. I went on Friday, and at 1:40 in the afternoon. Now, we go to West Springfield. It's
Yeah.
never that busy at 1:40 in the afternoon.
No.
Packed.
Yeah.
Packed. The theater I went into, packed.
Yeah.
There was adults, kids, and it was I think Barbie is another movie I want to watch again.
Yeah.
I told Allison she would appreciate it. We'll probably watch it on home release. It's I think for me another great fantastic movie. I loved the humor, the characters. It was clever. It was different. It was not what I was expecting.
No.
And it was just enjoyable, and it got me teary-eyed. I have no problem admitting that.
Yeah.
There was just that scene when
At
she
the end.
meets Ruth,
Yeah.
and I thought that was just
What an excellent casting of Rhea Perlman.
yeah.
Can I say
Yeah.
what a fantastic casting? It was just like
Yeah.
ugh.
And I loved how they poked fun at some stuff like Ruth's financial problems.
Yeah.
Like that's for
Yeah.
another movie.
Yeah.
But I loved it was cheeky. It didn't take itself seriously. Ryan Gosling was amazing. Margot Robbie.
yeah.
I mean, the whole
Yeah.
cast was amazing.
And the fact that Super Skrull was in it.
And he was better in Barbie.
He was better in Barbie than he was in
Wasn't it weird seeing him in Secret Invasion as this asshole, and you watch him in Barbie, and he's just like a Ken?
Because it's so crazy because it was like he literally was in two good movies on either side of Secret Invasion. He was the Paladin in Dungeons and Dragons, and he was Ken in Barbie. Yes, same person.
That wasn't him in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, it was.
Oh my!
I'm pretty sure it was.
I gotta look this up. I don't think that was him. But I'm not gonna say you're wrong because I gotta look it up.
I'm correct on that. His name is
the guy who comes
Ken's
in.
buddy Ken.
Huh?
Kingsley Ben Adder has been in. He was in Peaky Blinders, Secret Invasion, Barbie. Maybe it wasn't him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, well, whatever.
Anyway, yeah, Barbie. I mean, feel good movie. I think it's got.
Even still, he was in Secret Invasion, and then he was way better in this. So
yeah, I think very positive theme. I think I love the Ken stuff. I think it was really funny. And the movie had like some layers to it. I think it's a little bit deeper, and I think it works for kids, it works for teens, it works for adults on different levels. But I was amazed that they made a movie based off a toy.
Yeah,
and it works. And it works. So
yeah, I mean, it worked before, but I mean, it worked again, basically. So before I get into my review of that, really quick, Barbie, second week in the theater, took in over the weekend $93 million.
It's gonna be one of the biggest movies of the year.
It in the 2 weeks has taken in, this is just domestically, $351 million.
Yep.
It is $20 million behind Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and has only been out for 2 weeks.
Right. And Spider-Man was the biggest movie of the year
Yeah,
before that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
it
And
is literally 7 million behind Guardians.
two of the biggest movies of the year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so
it is
funny.
200 million behind Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. In 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Super Mario Brothers, just because I'm on the thing right now looking at this, has made domestically $574 million.
It was a big one when it came out.
It's been in the theater for 17 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? But yeah,
It
Barbie's
made this weekend $39,000. It's crazy.
people are still seeing it.
Yeah. It's in libraries. Libraries are showing it. I'm getting community calendars at work for libraries.
It's going to be on Peacock.
Yeah.
I think in August.
Next week or two. Yeah.
I'm going to watch it on Peacock when it comes
Yeah,
out.
that's how I'm gonna see it too. Yeah. Really quick, we just talked about Oppenheimer, came in second, and then Haunted Mansion, which I kind of want to see, but I'm hearing is not really good, but I still want to see it. Came in third at 24 million. Sound of Freedom raked in 12 million. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning raked in 10 million and has only made 139 million total in 3 weeks. Considered a flop? Mission Impossible?
Well, it was number one the week it came out. I don't really know what the budget
I mean,
was.
if Dial of Destiny has raked in 167 million, is considered a flop.
Mark, for it to be
also-
considered a flop, it has to make its money back and some. So if Dial of Destiny was not on track to make its money back, so that's why it's considered a flop. I don't know what the budget was for Mission Impossible, so
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a flop or not. Dial of Destiny is definitely a flop.
Yeah.
But it has to make back its money that it made to make it.
Yeah.
Plus, it has to make a profit
Yeah.
for it to be a success. So
Well, I knew Barbie was still going to take over the weekend because when we went Saturday, we went to West Springfield. I took Claire because we were talking during the week, and you guys in the chats were dropping all these memes and things from Barbie and different Barbie things.
References.
And Claire was saying the girls at work were talking about things from Barbie, and it's just been all over the place. And I said to her, I'm getting a little bit of FOMO. I feel like I'm the last person that hasn't seen Barbie.
You gotta go see it.
I don't want to be that guy who doesn't know the references of things, because I'm usually the guy that knows all the references of things. So I was like, should we let's go see it. I got a couple of tickets from the Cinemark app. Burn a hole in my pocket. Let's go. So we went Saturday, 3:20 in the afternoon. Theater was packed.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Like literally every seat, I think, was full.
Yeah.
Just said to Claire right off the bat, I'm like, wow, this is pretty impressive. It's been a while since I've seen a movie a week later than when it came out, and the theater's still full of people.
Force Awakens was probably
the last one I remember. Yeah. So we watched it. I thought it was very funny, very hilarious. A lot of the stuff, I got all the different random jokes that they threw out. I love the ad in the middle.
Yes, the ad was so good.
Hilarious.
That was really good.
I loved all the little like drop-in things. Will Ferrell, fantastic. I thought his character was perfect.
I liked how they didn't he even though he was the villain,
Yeah.
There was more to it because he was
it
barely
really wasn't
in
a
it.
villain. He was just a villain. He was just a villain to be the villain, basically.
He was there, and then it really was about coming together between the Barbies and the Kens.
He was basically, like I said, I thought about it as we were walking out of the theater. I'm like, he was basically just played a live action version of his Lego character, Mr. Business. That's all he was. He was just a live action version of that, which was hilarious. Yeah, like you said, I got emotional. Claire got really emotional.
And they started doing
where she talks about the mother and stand still while the daughters keep going.
Yeah.
I got Claire right in the feels.
Yeah.
Because she's lost her mom too, like I have. So that was, got a little emotional with like the little clippy thing they did with the different moms
Yeah.
and stuff. I was like,
During
oh
that scene,
yeah, what's
during that
going
scene,
on?
Mark, during that scene,
Screw you,
there was a
Barbie.
family next to me.
Yeah.
There's a family next to me. The mom, 2 kids, and the
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
And the dad, after that scene, he does this. I didn't even have to look to know what happened.
Yeah.
He does this. Takes his glasses off, and I just see him do this.
Yeah.
The big wipe with a big
Yeah.
hand, the big
Oh, yeah.
wipe like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like holding it back. I'm like, okay. So the guy next to me with his family,
Yeah.
that brought him to tears, that
Yeah.
scene. So
Yeah.
it works on so many levels. And people are like, oh, it's a movie for chicks. I think it's a movie for the whole family.
I think it's a movie for everybody, which is
everybody.
crazy to say. A movie called Barbie and about Barbie is a movie for everybody. And as you can tell by the numbers it's making, everyone is enjoying it.
Yeah.
But that scene, that was one of those parts of the movie where like I like reached over and checked on Claire, and then like out of the corner of my eye, there was a couple young, like probably 20-year-old, late teen, 20-year-old couple next to me, and they were making out, so they didn't really pay attention to it. But on the other side of them was a mother and a very young daughter, like I'd probably say under 10, and I could like corner of my eye see the mom like grab onto her daughter during that part, and I was like, oh god. But no, it was just great. And like the whole Knuff thing finally makes sense now. Everyone's been saying it, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm Knuff. So
Knuff.
yeah.
Ken is Knuff.
Yeah.
I love the humor. You think about movies back in the 80s where those movies they were funny to adults, and we grew up on them. We didn't get the humor until we got older. And I think Barbie works that way. There's a lot of I'm gonna beat you off, the beaching
Yeah, the
scene.
beach,
Well,
the
obviously,
beach
kids,
thing.
it's gonna go over their heads,
I
but as
beach.
adults,
What do you do? I beach.
it's very funny. So I think the movie, all in all, it's a great, it's a feel good movie.
Yeah.
It's got some good messaging, I think, and makes some valid points. And it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have nothing bad to say about it, to be honest with you.
No, it was very well done.
thoroughly
And all the
enjoyed it.
different, like the very original thought process and how to
It wasn't
approach.
generic. It wasn't generic. I
Yeah,
like
it was
that
very
about it.
original.
Yeah, very
And the thing
original.
of having the different people, actors playing basically the same characters, but just changing it a tiny bit, because Barbie's and Ken's. Michael Cera, fantastic as Alan.
Alan.
Where'd that come from? It was basically like
Well,
George
Alan,
Michael pulled out of Arrested Development and just dropped in the Barbie movie.
well, Alan is a real
He
doll.
is, but I know, but it was just a fantastic way of doing it. Like he's
Yeah.
basically just George Michael from Arrested Development in this movie. Just kind of like quirky character. I love the digs at Midge. Very fantastic.
Yeah. The horses, the horse
horses,
obsession was
yes,
really
horse
good.
obsession. Kate McKinnon, fantastic as Weird Barbie. And like
I know.
everything is great. It was amazing.
She was one of my
And Claire
favorites.
mentioned the girl in the movie had played somebody as a younger character, and she was the young girl in something that we just saw, and I was like, what? And I
Oh yeah, the girl, the main little girl. She was in a show, I think. We just watched. You're right. Which I didn't recognize her, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I neither.
And then it was pointed out, and I'm like, oh. Are we both gonna look it up?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
She was in a show. Let's see who can.
Everyone's screaming at the screen right now as we're doing this.
Nobody.
She was this person. She was this person.
Um.
And by the way, the other
I'm trying to find the girl.
random Ken with the blonde hair, that's the new Doctor. Into Gatwa. That's the new Doctor Who.
Yes, he's the new Doctor Who.
I was like watching it, I'm like, that's Doctor Who.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing her listed in the beginning of the cast.
She was in she played young Gamora. That's who it was. In Infinity War and Avengers.
Oh,
And they showed the scenes where they do the flashback for Thanos and he's
yeah.
Gamora. And Gamora's telling him like what he needs to do, basically, when he does the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
She played that character. And that blew me away. I was like, what? But yeah, it was fantastic. It was great.
And I for my final verdict, yeah, I give this movie.
And Shang-Chi was in it.
Yes, I know. And he's such
He was
a great
fantastic.
actor. Why?
Fantastic.
Marvel?
Why have we not seen him in anything else, Marvel?
Yeah.
Bring Shang-Chi back.
It's so dumb what they're doing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
For me, Barbie, if Oppenheimer was my first 10 of the year for a movie that came out this year, Barbie's my second 10 of the year.
Wow.
2 10s in a weekend.
Wow, 2 10s in a weekend.
I had nothing bad. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great movie that works on a lot of levels. It's a movie I want to see again. It's 2 10s for me, my friend.
Wow.
2 10s.
Wow.
I know.
I surprisingly was going to say the same thing. So yeah, 2 10s. Back-to-back 10s.
I know. It doesn't happen very often.
Again. It'll never happen again, I don't think. I think we've set a precedent. A record has been set.
To have two, I mean, it's so funny how
it literally is like we said, like I'd said at the beginning of this whole last week before the Barbenheimer weekend happened. I said, I think this is probably the first time, and I think I'm right, that this is literally the first time we've ever had a weekend of releases where it's literally, if you don't like either one of these, you don't like movies. Because either one of these could be a movie for you. If you're like the more serious person who wants to like watch the historical type movie or be in a drama or like that kind of thing, you got Oppenheimer. If you want to just go to movies and eat popcorn and enjoy yourself and laugh and have a good time, Barbie's your movie. It was the perfect weekend of movie like programming, basically. It was like whoever came up with the idea of putting these two movies out at the same time should be given a raise, even though they're separate theater, like probably different production companies and such. But
I know Oppenheimer is Warner Brothers, I believe.
So is Barbie.
Yeah, I think they might have been both Warner Brothers. Are they? I don't know.
Yeah, Barbie's Warner Brothers.
Maybe Oppenheimer was a Warner Brothers.
I'm not sure. I don't even remember. I just know Barbie was because they changed the color of it.
What was I going to say? Oh, Universal.
Universal was Oppenheimer. Okay, yeah, that makes
all right. Sense. Anyway, yeah, this is the 4th time in history where 2 big movies come out like this. And what I want to say though, you go back to the strike and you hear all these executives calling poverty, and then you have these movies come out and people come out because they want to see something new, original, and well done. And when the ratings, the reviews, early reviews were showing that these were really good movies, people came out to see them. And I think that's what people want. I think people are getting a little fatigued when it comes to franchises. I think we're all getting a little fatigued when it comes to franchises. It's got to be good.
Yeah.
Or a family is not going to drop over $100 to come to the theater.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. It's getting expensive to go to the theater if you're a family of 4, a family of 2, a family of 3. It's a couple $100.
Well, I mean, unless you or play it like smart and get the app. I will say it. Not trying to promote Cinemark at all, but that Cinemark app makes it very easy to go to multiple movies in one year.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, not everybody has a Cinemark. There's other theaters.
But there's
if you're a family of 4, you're getting tickets. You're getting concession. If you're a family 2, you got to get if you have kids, you got to get a babysitter. You know what I'm saying? It's an expensive night out.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. when you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not media, it's just going to be so-so.
Yeah.
So I think it proves people want to see the theater experience is still alive and well, but people want to see something good.
It's also
new,
nice
and
to like
original.
go to the theaters and not feel like it's a job. Like you're like having to go see it, because if you don't, you're not gonna like. I mean, we do it because we have the show, so we see a lot of these movies. But it was nice to go to Barbie and like have the FOMO part of it and be like, man, I have to see this, because if I don't, it's like, you don't know what's going on kind of thing, which is one of those things that hasn't happened in a while. You haven't had a movie like that where it's been, if you haven't seen this, you don't like have the know what's going on in the world kind of thing, So
Yeah,
it was really good.
agree. Yeah.
So 2 10s each.
Yeah.
That your pipe and smoke it, Hollywood.
Yeah. All right, Mark. Well, this has been a show. We've gone
It has
on.
been.
It's a long one.
Not really. We started around 11, so we're good.
But anyway, I'm keeping track of everything, like I said. But yeah, 2
Nice.
10s in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Will we get another 10 this year, you think? Just one. We don't need to have multiples, but if we get at least one more movie this year with a 10, you think?
I don't think so.
It'd be a surprise if we do.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
This year is going to be interesting. How it all shakes out. Will things get
see what happens with what comes out, what doesn't come out, what gets moved next year, what gets moved to whenever.
Yeah.
When does this strike end? When do we get stuff back?
I think next year is going to be crazy.
Yeah. So next week we're going to break down, give our what could be done to save the Marvel universe from obliteration. So stay tuned for that and so much more next week. As always, be safe, be well, be kind.
And rewind.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.